Hello children, greetings of the day. I, Geeta Jain, science teacher of class 6, welcome you all. Today I am here with chapter 10, motion and measurement of distances. In this chapter, we are going to study about.
In this module, we will study Introduction to Motion and Measurement of Distances, Measurement, Methods of Measurements, Standard Units of Measurement, Multiples and Submultiples of Units for Measurement.
Yes, in this chapter, we are going to study about the measurement, the definition of measurement, different methods of measurement, standard units of measurement, why there is a need of standard unit of measurement, why it is worldwide valid, why we are using the standard unit of measurement. We will also study about multiples and submultiples of units for measurement.
Measurement of length. Measuring the length of a curved line. Moving things around us. Types of motion. Recapitulation.
Yes. We will also study about measurement of length. How can we measure the length? We will also study about the length of a curved line. When the line is not straight, it is curved. How can we measure it? Moving things around us, types of motion, and at the end, we will revise the chapter.
Let's begin with an animation on story of transport.
Yes. Before we watch this animation, I will tell you the story of transport. What is transport? First of all, we should all know. To carry people and goods from one place to another is called transport. We will now discuss how people traveled and carried goods from one place to another in earlier times and how they do it these days. Long ago, the people did not have any means of transport. So in ancient times, people used to move on foot or on animals and carried goods themselves, or they used animals for this purpose. For example, the ancient people used to travel on horseback or camelback and also use these animals for carrying goods. In ancient time, people also used boats for transport along the water routes such as rivers. Initially, the boats were simply logs or wood. What do you understand by the log? The trunk of the tree. Then they make a hollow cavity, a hollow space inside the trunk, and they used to carry goods, or they used to sit in that and travel from one place to another. Then they observed the aquatic animals, the water creatures, and then they started giving this water log the shape of the boat so that they can easily travel in the water. The invention of wheel also made a great change in the modes of transport. So again, it's just say, given once this earlier man, the ancient people, was sitting under the tree on the slope, and he saw that the trunk of the tree just rolling down. Then the idea came in his mind, then why can't we use this log as carry the things? Then first they used to carry the whole logs, then they cut it into the circle form and they started using the logs. And they found the things to carry from one place to another in an easy manner. The wheels were used in making the transport vehicles such as bullock carts, horse carts, and camel carts. Animals such as bullocks, horse, and camels were used to pull the vehicles, which moved on wheels. The invention of wheel was lead to development of bicycle as a popular mode of transport these days. In the beginning of 19th century, again the invention of steam engine produced a new source of power to run transport vehicles such as steam engines, which is using coal as a fuel for making steam. were used to put trains on railroads, railway tracks, and for carrying people and goods from one place to another. Steam engines were also used to run ships and in the beginning. The steam engine is called the external combustion as it was burning outside the vehicle. Then later on, the invention of internal combustion engine, which is we are using in our automobiles, which is running through petrol and diesel, made a great, we can say, the development. And we can see that cars, buses, trucks, motorcycles, and scooters for travel on land. Motorized boats and ships were developed as a means of transport on water. Aeroplanes were discovered or developed as a means of transport in the early 20th century. Aeroplanes now carry a lot of passengers and goods worldwide. Helicopters were also made as a means of transport, traveling by air. Electric trains, monorails, supersonic aeroplanes which fly at the speed faster than the speed of sound. And spacecraft are also some of the 20th century contribution to the modes of transport. Now watch this following video so you will have a great idea about the story of transport.
Come, children, let us explore different modes of transport. Everywhere we look around, we see different vehicles. We can travel and carry goods from one place to another. This process is known as transportation. The major modes of transport are roadways, railways, waterways, and airways. Let's know the story of transport. Earlier, people could only move on their own to travel. Slowly, they learned to ride horse and started carrying goods from one place to another on animals' back. In search of new lands, they made boats and started using them for transportation through waterways. Gradually, people learned to give shapes to their boats by imitating the shapes of the animals living in water.
Yes, just now which I told you.
Great change in modern modes of transport came with the invention of wheel. Animals were used to pull vehicles that moved on wheels. With the beginning of the 19th century, steam engine was introduced, which revolutionized the world. Apart from it, motorized boat, ship, and aeroplane came into picture and became popular means of transportation. As time changed, transportation system became more advanced with the introduction of electric train and supersonic aeroplane. Nowadays, metro and monorail have become the convenient way of transportation in the cities. Although with time, transport has changed its form, but it has provided us better and safe traveling.
Okay, so we had seen the different means of transport and how they are developed. Now we will see that why there is a need of measurement. Why do we need measurement?
Are the objects shown in above images exhibit similar kind of motion?
No, we can see that this car is moving in a straight line. The soldiers are marching in a straight line. This cyclist is going in a straight line while the fan is exhibiting the rotatory motion. We will study all in detail about that.
There are certain questions that come to our mind every day.
Yes. How much potatoes do you need? What is the time now? How much milk do you consume daily? How much area is required to build the house? So all these questions comes in our mind. And to find out the answers to all these questions, we need measurement. And there comes our chapter, measurement and
Let's try to find
distances.
the answers to all these questions in this chapter titled Motion and Measurement of Distances.
Measurement. Before we start this term measurement, what does it mean? All of you just open page number 96 of your textbook. There's one topic given. How wide is this desk? How did people know how far they have traveled? How do we know? How will you know whether you can walk all the way to your school or whether you will need to take a bus or a rickshaw to reach your school? How will you take it? How do you come to know? Of course, by the distance, how far it is. So when you need to purchase something, it is possible for you to walk to the market. How will you know the answer to these questions? It is often important to know that how far a place is so that we can have an idea how we are going to reach that place. Walk, take a bus or a train or a ship or an aeroplane or even a spacecraft. Yes, if you want to go to the Mars, you have to choose spacecraft. So sometimes there are objects whose length or width we need to know. Okay, so there's one story given that why there's a specific need of measurement. So there are two children, Paheli and Buju. Yes. So in their school, they have one desk which both of them have to share. They do not have the individual table and chair. How do we have? So they have a simple one desk and both of them have to share that. But what happened? This Paheli and Buju are the kids like you. So they used to fight every day that you spread your things on the table and I'm not getting the space to keep my things. So the teacher suggested that then why don't you equally divide it or equally make a mark in between the table, equally you divide this desk into two halves and one part you keep and one part Paheli you keep and one part Bujo you keep. Okay, so they both agree with the teacher's suggestion. So the next day, Bujo is very fond of playing Gilli and Danda. Gilli and Danda is very ancient and a traditional game. If you talk to your grandparents, they will tell you about that. If there nothing is there, there are two wooden pieces. One is a big one and the cylindrical, and the other one is a small one. The bigger one is known as Danda and the smaller one is known as a Gilli. So this boy brought that Gilli and Danda to the classroom and he measured the length of the desk. So once he measured it, he found that the length of the table. See the figure 10.2 in your textbook. So he saw that the length of the desk is one table, two danda and two gilli. So one danda and one gilli length for Paheli and one danda and one gilli length for Bujo. And they drew a line in between with a chalk. So for a few days, the things went smoothly. But what happened again? Yes, the chalk line got wiped off. And again they started fighting. So again, the Bujo thought that why don't I do the same process what the teacher told me. So but what happened this time? He misplaced his previous Gilli and Danda and this time he brought the new set of Gilli and Danda. So when he measured the length of the desk, see the figure 10.3, where you can see that when he measured, he found that the length of the desk with a different, that's here he found the two danda, one gilli and one short gilli is there. Now what to do? How they divide this desk into two equal halves? So now the thing comes in their mind. Okay, if they would have brought the stumps, do you think it will be possible for them to separate the table and desk into the two equal halves? No. So what would you suggest, Paheli and Bujo, to do the measure the length of the door? So then you will say, madam, why don't they measure it with the ruler? The ruler is there in our compass box, no? We can measure it with that. Yes, of course they can measure it with that, but it will take a longer time. So now what they do? they can take a string. Yes, a bigger string they can take, and then they can measure the one corner and to the other corner. So where the thread reaches, they can break it, or they can tie a knot over there, and from that make a half part of it. And from one corner to the other corner, if they can, they will get the equal half. Did you understand what did I say? Took a simple thread from one corner to the other corner they have measured, and when once they reach to the other corner, what they did, they break it, they cut it from there. Now the thread has become that. Now what they do, this end of the thread, I'll just take it. So what happened, now it has become the half part of the thread. Then I measure the table and make a half part of it, so it will be easy for them to measure. Yes, so there's all these questions, there's all the small problems which are facing in the day-to-day life. We need measurement. There are so many occasions when we come across a need to measure lengths and distances. The tailor needs, if I talk about the tailor needs to measure the length of the cloth, to know to stitch your kurta, to make the curtains of your house. A carpenter needs to measure the height and width of the cupboard to know how much wood he would be requiring. The farmer needs to know the area, the length and the breadth of the, or the area of his land, to know how much seed he can sow and how much water would he needed to grow the crops. Suppose you are asked how tall you are. You want to tell the length of a straight line from the top of your head to the heel of your feet. How long is this room? How wide is this desk? How far it's from Delhi to Lucknow? How far away is the moon from the earth? All these questions have one thing in common. They all concern distance between two places. The two places may be close enough, like the two ends of the table, or they may be far apart, like Jammu and Kanyakumari, or from earth to the moon. Now we'll find out the definition of the measurement, to see what exactly we need to know and when we measure distance on the lengths. Tomorrow we will discuss about the measurement, the need of measurement, the different techniques of measurement. Thank you and keep learning.